Hey guys, Paul here. So today I've actually got some Yu-Gi-Oh! Gameplay advice, which I know I don't normally do on this channel, but it's something that I've noticed happens to a lot of players, and I think it's like a necessary step in improvement and dealing with, well, basically what it is dealing with matchups and decks that you dislike facing. There's one sort of crucial tip that can help you out a lot with it. So a bit of background here before I get into the juicy details. A lot of people in Yu-Gi-Oh! Will have certain matchups they just really hate playing against. Oftentimes it's something that's kind of more of a control strategy where it like says you can't do something. Examples might be, say, Eldlich. A lot of people don't really like facing the Eldlich deck. All these annoying traps, they keep floating, they keep popping my monsters and banishing my cards, and Eldlich just he keeps coming back and it just seems like it's impossible to win, and then they throw in all the floodgates and everything else. Or, maybe I guess a newer example might be something like Floowandereeze. It's a kind of popular deck that stops you from doing things and such and another. But here's where I think the big issue comes in that I've seen. So many players will hate certain matchups, and I feel that they play against these matchups and they get really tilted, and I start seeing things like, oh, people are like rolling their eyes, and it's like, oh, they're just doing this thing again, like, oh, hurry up, it's like, it's so unfair, it's so dumb. And what'll actually happen is people won't like read their opponent's cards anymore and won't try to understand why what's happening is happening. So when you lose to a deck in Yu-Gi-Oh, the best thing that you can do, at least in my experience, and I've been playing for a while, both competitively and casually, is read the cards that you're losing to. And I don't just mean in the game, but also after the game. So like, let's say that I lost to Eldlich at my locals. And it seems, very unfair, and I'm upset about it, and I always lose this stupid deck every week. Don't just lose to the deck and then like consider it a broken matchup that's just like, it's so annoying, I can't beat this. Read the cards. In the case of the Eldlich cards, there's like two different types of spell and trap cards that they have. Like they've got the Golden Land cards, and then they've got like the Eldlich cards. So the Eldlich cards and the Golden Land cards all have, banished from grave effects, but something that a lot of people don't know is actually that the Golden Lands search the Eldlichers and the Eldlichers search the Golden Lands. So you might be thinking, well, this isn't a big deal, like whatever, they're still just getting free cards. But this actually matters quite a lot because you can know what it is that they're searching and what it is that they'll be able to search. And so this can actually determine what cards are maybe more worth hitting with your Cosmic Cyclone versus what cards you can ignore. For instance, like, the Golden Land cards are the ones that are the disruptors, whereas the Eldlichers are the ones that just generate advantage for them. And this, I think, like, if there are going to be some people who are watching this video and listening to me, they're going to be like, okay, well, duh, Paul, I know all this. But I actually think that this is more targeted towards those people who are perhaps like kind of in that midst of casual and competitive, and they don't like purely understand how the deck works. Knowing how your opponent's deck works can really do a lot in terms of like your own counterplay and how you choose to deal with it. I used to hate actually facing Eldlich for this reason. I just thought it was just a bunch of cards that they were getting for free, but now that I understand what the threat cards are versus what the other cards are, it helps a lot. And going back through and reading these cards and seeing how they work can also really help you like make poignant play decisions that can hurt them a lot. So like a common thing that happens is the whole, let's say that an Eldlich player opens with Scarlet Sanguine and one of their Golden Land monsters like Wakero or Conquistador, and they want to be able to use it to disrupt you. They will typically do the whole thing where like they activate the Wakero or the Conquistador and then they chain Scarlet Sanguine to it so that Scarlet Sanguine summons Eldlich and then like their trap resolves and it gets to get rid of your monster and all that. In those cases, hitting the Scarlet Sanguine with Ash Blossom is really powerful because not only does it stop Scarlet Sanguine's effect to summon Eldlich from the deck, but it also means the trap card won't do anything. Or, well, it'll summon, but it won't be able to get its extra effect. And so it's little things like that that you only can really pick up on when you read the Eldlich cards yourself and pay attention to them. And so that's just like an Eldlich example. And there's plenty of other little instances within that deck where reading the cards, you can like really spot tiny little weaknesses and tiny little vulnerabilities that matter quite a bit. Another one is Floowandereeze, and this is a deck that I play myself. I've played against a lot of my friends and just different people at locals with it, and I know like a lot of people hate facing this deck. It seems boring and uninteresting, and it plays during your opponent's turn, so it feels like, oh, they're not even letting me play. This is so stupid, it's so dumb, I can't chain anything. All they're just doing is normal summoning and all these effects. But I think that something that's also really key with dealing with Floowandereeze is knowing, at what point you need to remove cards from the field. Sometimes people will try to wait until the tribute summons happen, and at that point it might actually not be the best time to remove cards from the field. Getting rid of cards like Eaglin or Rabina early on can actually just straight up stop the tribute summons from happening, and then, they're just kind of out of luck when they don't have something that they can tribute summon with. And so just little things like that, I think, help a lot. If you lose to Floowandereeze, don't just assume Floowandereeze are broken. Sit there and read the cards. Read every little line of text. I guarantee you in Yu-Gi-Oh, there's always some balancing that goes into these cards, even for the best decks. There are a lot of cards that say they can only activate in the main phase. They can't actually be used in the standby phase or the battle phase, even if it's like a trap card. Or there are a lot of cards that, can only stop so here's one, Impin in the Floowandereeze deck negates the activated effects of monsters in an attack position, but it doesn't negate continuous effects. So this is something that's kind of relevant because it means that, if you have a continuous effect, then that means your attack position monster can actually use that. So just sort of something that's really useful to know is he's stopping things from activating, but he isn't stopping continuous things. Or that, it can do a certain thing in the battle phase, but it has to require them to banish a card from their hand. So if they're not actually able to banish because of Artifact Lancia, you know what I mean? So just try not to look at decks as simply something that's really difficult to face and has no counterplay. Sit there and read the cards individually and try to kind of understand how the deck itself works. Maybe even play it for yourself. You'd be surprised how much this can help you conquer those bad matchups. One last example is that I've been playing the Despia deck a lot. Pre-starter deck or structure deck coming out. So I've just played this deck for many months. And a lot of people don't understand how the Masquerade Dragon works, right? The one where you have to pay 600 life points to activate cards and effects. Many people assume that when he comes back with his revival effect that they still have to pay 600 life points to use things. But that isn't true. You only have to pay 600 life points when he's been fusion summoned and he's on the field. Or, for instance, what is that other Despia card? Caritas, their other fusion monster that can lower the attack of everything on the field to 0 except level 8 or higher fusion summon monsters or fusion monsters. With that, it can only use it in the main phase. So a lot of people will just assume, oh, he's going to use this in the battle phase so I can't attack or whatever. But no, they can only use it in the main phase, so this can actually be a way that you can bait stuff out, and you can also make battle phase sort of plays and stuff with the comfort of knowing that they won't be able to use his effect to change attack and defense there. It's these little tiny things, and I hope I'm not maybe making this video too complicated or making bad examples. I'm not that great at explaining stuff like this, but I guess to sum it all up, if there's a matchup that you're having trouble with in Yu-Gi-Oh, I strongly implore you to read all of the cards that comprise the deck that you're struggling with, and then read them all again and think about how do they work together and in what scenarios can you exploit a small weakness in those cards. Even if it's small, it can change a matchup. It doesn't change the fact that top tier decks are top tier decks or that some deck is stronger than yours, but it can really be meaningful for just improvement and not losing to the same old thing. Because I'll let you in on a bit of a secret. A lot of players that, win just at the local level and stuff are really banking on you not reading their cards and not knowing the exact things to stop and sort of just letting things go through, and you're just tilted and you're, I'm over this, I'm done. That's what they want. They don't want you to really look any further. Because if you look further and find those weaknesses that you can exploit, then suddenly these decks can feel significantly less threatening. So yeah, that's the video. Hopefully this was helpful. I'm sorry if my explanations suck. I'm not, like I said, I'm not really an advice guy for gameplay stuff, but maybe this was helpful. Maybe this might help you take a new perspective on a certain matchup that you've struggled with. I certainly hope so. But yeah, that's going to be it. Let me know down in the comments maybe other advice or where something like this might have helped you in the past. I'm sure many other people would love to know too. All right, that's going to be it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Pass turn. I have to turn this off myself for a change.